So there you are at work, you just pull up the internal job board and notice that a manager position just got posted. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, I bet I could do that job. Take a minute and consider these three things before you actually throw your name in the hat for a promotion. Hey everybody, welcome back to Career Compass Media. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. So I want to talk with you about three things that you should consider before actually trying for a promotion at your current place of employment. And the reason I want you to go through these things is, going into a promotion or putting your name in the hat and taking that next step shouldn't be taken lightly. There's some things that you want to make sure that you're understanding and that you're clear on before you actually make that potential next step. So the first one is, what is your true motivation for wanting that promotion? So when I talk about motivation, one thing you want to make sure that you're not going to do is simply apply for a job because it pays much better than what you're currently making. Because it might look good on paper, seeing that a manager makes 15, 20% more. The reality is, though, a manager is going to have to put in a lot of extra time. There's going to be a lot of additional non-process and non-project related stress when you have to manage people. And if your main motivation for that promotion is really dollars and cents, you should not apply for that particular job. There's a lot of ways out there that you can make an extra 10 or 20%. Maybe there's a little bit of overtime that you can do. Maybe there's a side hustle that you can think about. Because if you put in perspective, when you take a manager position, you might end up working an extra 10 or 15 hours a week. Could you take that extra 10 or 15 hours and maybe do a side hustle? Could you do a little bit of overtime and get that time and a half and really close that monetary gap? So again, that first motivation, if it's all about money and you're thinking, wow, it's all about dollars and cents, I'm going to throw my name in because I want that extra bit of cash, you're going to want to rethink that, because that's not a good reason to apply for a promotion at your place of work. All right, so the second consideration really has to do with timing. And you have to look at timing both internally and externally. Now, from an internal standpoint, have you only been at the organization maybe 6 months to a year? And don't get me wrong, it's not that you haven't done a good job. The reality is, though, a lot of companies put different types of stipulations in place to prevent you from moving from one position to the next in the first 6 months or first year of your employment. And the reasoning behind that is they have to get to know you. They have to understand what your work ethic is like. They also want you to understand how the operations work, but then also understand some of those cultural pieces that are going on and really a lot of the unwritten rules that really every job is going to have. So have you been at your position for at least a year, maybe a year and a half, before you really start thinking about that promotional opportunity? If you haven't been there that long, more than likely you're going to get shot down simply because you don't have the time internally to where they know you well enough to say, yes, you'd be a good fit, or no, you wouldn't be a good fit. Externally, you also want to take count of all the things in your life that are happening, because if you take a promotion, especially a manager position, oftentimes you'll add 10 or 15 hours to your work schedule. Do you have 10 or 15 hours? Do you have maybe a newborn on the way? Are you in the middle of a degree program that might make more sense for you to finish that degree program and kind of play the long game and be out of that particular realm of your life into a promotion maybe in 2 years when you're done with school? So timing is very important, both internally and externally. So the last thing you should consider before going for that promotion are the characteristics of a good leader, and more importantly, do you have those characteristics? And I actually did a video on this a while back on the different characteristics that organizations look for before they promote or hire into management positions. Things like, are you someone who is naturally curious? Do you see how processes come together, but then also how those processes could maybe be made more efficient or maybe done differently? Are you constantly trying to troubleshoot things? Do you have really a high level of integrity? And this is something that might be a little hard to assess, but are you a clock watcher? Because if you're going to be in a leadership role and you're so used to looking for that maybe 4:30 bell to shut everything down so you can walk out at 4:59, you know what? Leadership roles, management roles oftentimes don't allow for that sort of thing. Do you hold yourself to that high standard day in and day out? Other things to consider is, how well have you built relationships in the organization? Do people naturally come to you because you've been a kind of a pseudo mentor, if you will, and being seen as a leader at that organization, as someone who is always going to step up, willing to help, willing to be a team player? Do you have a number of those qualities to be a leader? Because if you don't, you may want to step back a little bit and take time to build those opportunities, build those characteristics, and make yourself be more seen as a leader before you try to formally apply for a leadership role. Thanks again for tuning in to Career Compass Media. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And also be sure to leave some comments in the comment section if you like this particular video, or if you want additional material discussed, feel free to put that in the comments and I'll be happy to build the things that are of interest to you. Take care.